Hello and welcome to this edition of Biz First Review 360, where we bring you a roundup of this week's top business stories and developments which impact the country's economy. I am Shaheen Jurangpati. Well, a study has revealed that a lesser number of women in Sri Lanka have migrated to the Middle East as housemates in 2015. The question is, how will this impact Sri Lanka's inward remittances? Let's take a look.
A study found that Sri Lanka's inward remittances have declined 0.54% to $6,980 million in 2015 from $7,018 million in 2014, owing to a drop in female migrant worker departures and housemaids. A study by Bilesha Veeraratna, a research fellow at the Institute of Policy Studies, shows the total departures in 2015 have declined to 263,307 from 300,703 in 2014, with the share of females among migrant worker departures further declining in 2015 to 34% from 37% in 2014. The share of housemaids also continued to shrink to 28% in 2015 from 30% in 2014. The study says concerted policy efforts, mandatory requirements such as family background report, pre-departure training and upgrading skill training have transformed the low-skill-oriented migrant worker flow to a more skilled and male-centric flow. 2015 marked the first year since 1994 where the share of housemaids dipped below that of skilled workers. Other skills groups such as professionals and semi-skilled groups also experienced growth to reach shares of 2.4% and 2% respectively, according to Veeraratna. The study, titled Decrease in Remittances in 2015, Glitch or Beginning of the End, says, compared to males, females are more reliable remitters. This reliability stems from the greater involvement of females with the operation of the left-behind household and their tendency to sacrifice more than males for family back home. Additionally, females also tend to remit more as a self-insurance mechanism against possible negative shocks at the destination. The recent policy efforts to discourage the departure of female workers has inadvertently also contributed to reducing the number of reliable remitters to Sri Lanka. Despite being less reliable, when they do remit, males are noted to remit more. The reason behind such higher remittances from males is due to their capacity to earn higher wages than women in similar jobs. This has the potential to offset the less reliability of male remittances with the larger amount of remittances when they do remit.
The government of Sri Lanka seeks to raise a $1 billion foreign currency term financing facility to meet import costs of development projects specified in the 2017 budget.
The Ministry of National Policies and Economic Affairs communique said that the foreign currency term financing facility is expected to be raised at a fixed rate or a floating rate linked to the US dollar 6-month LIBOR with a maturity period of 3 years or more. The proceeds of the facility will be used for the purposes of meeting corresponding import elements of development projects specified in the budget for the fiscal year 2017.
Well, with weak rainfall and a looming drought, Sri Lanka's energy regulator is calling for quick action to avert an energy crisis in the year 2017.
Energy regulator, the Public Utilities Commission, has urged the Ceylon Electricity Board to optimize capacity of the existing plants by postponing repairs, support self-generation and increase solar rooftop generation to avert a power crisis in 2017. The Public Utilities Commission says weak rainfall has led to a low storage of water in hydropower reserves. The Public Utilities Commission says weak rainfall has led to a low storage of water in hydropower reservoirs.
The demand has been in the increase over the last so many years, and there are some delays observed in the long-term implementation of plants in the long-term generation expansion plan of the CEB. So there is a challenge in providing electricity in the medium term, but Commission has already approved the 2015-2034 long-term generation expansion plan, which has about 1,250 megawatts of power plants to be commissioned up to 2020. With the commissioning of those plants on time, there won't be any issue in maintaining an uninterrupted power supply. Commission has given 4 recommendations to Ceylon Electricity Board in order to avoid any issues in the uninterrupted power supply. The first one being the implementation of power plants which are in the long-term generation expansion plan timely. For example, the plants that are to be commissioned in 2017 should be commissioned in 2017 itself. Second recommendation is to maximize the energy absorption from rooftop solar program, the Surya Bala Sangramya launched by the government. So through a Surya Bala Sangramya program, we can harness a lot of solar energy into the system quickly. Number 3 is the self-generation mechanism, whereas a lot of generation plants are available in large factories as well as buildings. So we can use those generators to supply these buildings and factories themselves, so the burden on the grid will be reduced. And the fourth one is to optimize the usage of existing thermal power plants. The Norachole Unit 1 is out of operation from October 15 this year, and it has to be come online by the first week of January, which is a 270 megawatt very important power plant. And also there are some issues in fuel supply to some thermal power plants, which as a result the generation has to be curtailed in those power plants. So we expect and we recommend that within next 2 to 3 weeks the fuel supply should be maintained at optimum levels, so that we can get the maximum power output from the existing thermal power plants.
Cash-strapped Sri Lankan Airlines incurs more losses over lease agreement with Pakistan International Airlines.
Media reports said that debt-burdened national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines has incurred another loss of over $15.9 million as a result of a delay by Pakistan International Airlines in acquiring 2 aircraft under an agreement signed in August this year. With the aim of cutting debt, the state-run airline struck a deal with the PIA in July 2016 to lease 4 of its Airbus A330 planes after cancelling an order for 4 Airbus 350 aircraft. According to Sri Lanka Mirror, PIA had not been able to generate sufficient money from the aircraft operation and has requested to discount rental payment for second aircraft. Pakistan airline negotiators want the wet lease agreement revised with a discount on the previous aircraft and a dry lease agreement for the other 2 aircraft at a discount payment. A wet lease is a leasing agreement where one airline provides an aircraft, complete crew, maintenance and insurance to another airline which pays by hours operated. Cash-strapped Sri Lankan Airlines suffered another blow owing to delays by Pakistan International Airline in settling instalment payment for the wet leasing of the first A330 and the failure to take over the other 2 aircraft. According to Sri Lanka Mirror, the 2 airlines are currently negotiating to settle the issue. Attempts by Newsfirst to reach the management of Sri Lankan Airlines for a comment were unsuccessful. Sri Lankan Airlines has debt of around $3.25 billion and is looking for an international partner to help reverse years of losses.
Coming up after the break, a chat with the top economists on how to fast-track the economy. Welcome back. You are with BizFirst Review 360. Top economist and associate professor of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy says that Sri Lanka needs a fast-track agency for big-ticket foreign investment.
He's been one of the most vocal critics of the economic policies or the economic handling by this Yahapalne government. Professor Razin Sali from the Lee Kuan Yew University. Professor Sali, let me first and foremost ask you. I'm sure you're aware of the Development Special Provisions Bill that has been gazetted. It will be put to Parliament soon. There are a lot of concerns that are being raised about this bill. In your lecture today, you spoke of the importance of decentralization, about how reforms need to come from, are more successful when it happens at the city level. Do you think that this is too much centralization that's going to happen through this bill?
I don't think these 2 options are mutually exclusive. I think it's possible to pursue both concurrently. Given the obstacles out there, I think the Prime Minister is right. You need a fast-track agency for big-ticket foreign investment as well as to spur local investment.
But don't we already have that in the Board of Investment?
No, we don't, unfortunately, because the Board of Investment over the decades has been warped into essentially a rampant tax concession agency, with corruption along the way, rather than being a genuine one-stop shop. So the important thing is not incentives and sweeteners for investors. It's to ease their path of doing business in Sri Lanka. That's what a one-stop shop should be about. The Board of Investment needs restructuring. It has a very good head, Duminda Aryasinghe, who's one of the best civil servants that Sri Lanka has, doing a very difficult job. And while this big agency is being reshaped, you could argue that there's a need for something smaller that will fast track certain projects. But as I said in the response to question, it's important that this is done cleanly and it's insulated as much as possible from ordinary Sri Lankan politics and the complications of.
When you say insulated from ordinary Sri Lankan politics, could you elaborate on that?
I'll put it very simply. There's a good way of doing this kind of fast-tracking and a bad way of doing this kind of fast-tracking. The good way is to have competent and well-paid professionals in charge who will act as a genuine one-stop shop and see projects through to completion based on their merits. The bad way of doing it is to set up yet another agency which would exist for the benefit of local cronies. And they would be the ones who would be fast-tracked, while everyone else would be left on the wayside.
Professor Saleh, during your lecture, you also made some very interesting remarks. When we hear criticisms from opponents of the government or supporters who are unhappy with the work that the government is doing, we don't usually hear this segment of the populace mentioned, the commanding heights of business working in collusion with the political class. Is that really a problem in Sri Lanka?
Well, I have to be wary about predictions, least of all the future, especially the future. I think this is a problem that's real and it's there. Sri Lanka is not greatly exceptional. There are other countries that have a similar structure. It becomes more obvious and blatant in a small country with a small elite. So yes, I think it's something that one always has to watch out for, to make sure that whatever new provisions are introduced are not swiftly captured by this collusion between an established political class and an established business class at the commanding heights, as it were. That requires leadership and a core team that is committed to doing things differently, like Lee Kuan Yew and his team in Singapore, and to put in the provisions along the way to make sure that the process isn't derailed.
Professor Saleh, thank you very much for speaking to BizFirst. I look forward to having you on the show again.
Thank you.
On the other side of the break, top economies that are ending this year in worse shape. Welcome back. You are watching BizFirst Review 360. Well, two referendums and a drastic currency reform experiment have left the UK, Italy and India to face an uncertain 2017. Let's take a look.
On June 23rd, the UK voted to leave the European Union, sending shockwaves across markets. The pound crashed to its lowest in 30 years against the dollar, losing around 18% of its value. Although the pound recovered to stable levels, it has pushed prices up, setting the environment for inflation to set in. Breaking away from the European Union, the biggest single trading partner, UK, also faces the risk of firms moving operations out of the country. The UK had one of the fastest rates of growth in the G7, but experts warn that the economy could record a slow growth rate in 2017. India, a country where the informal sector has no bank accounts, suddenly banned 500 and 1,000 rupee notes aimed at combating tax evasion and counterfeit currency. The demonetization sparked protests and anger across India as it affected businesses, with 500 and 1,000 rupee notes being rejected across the country. Farmers were some of the worst affected as traders found it difficult to pay for their produce. India's 7.3% growth rate is expected to slow dramatically. The Reserve Bank of India has already cut its growth forecast for the current fiscal year by 0.5%. Analysts say the damage could be severe than that. On December 4th, Italy voted against constitutional reforms proposed by Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. The reforms were aimed at ending political deadlock and reviving Italy's stagnant economy. However, in an unexpected move, Renzi resigned the next day, triggering political and economic uncertainty. Nervous investors kept away, refusing to provide the world's oldest bank, Monte dei Paschi, with $5 billion to stay afloat. The Italian government has stepped in with a bailout program drawn from a $21 billion rescue fund, which will add on to the country's debt of $2.34 trillion. Economists expect Italy's economy to grow by 0.9% in 2017 and 1% in 2018.
Lanka, a fusion of European new circus and traditional Sri Lankan dance and music, is open to the public at the open-air theatre at the Viharamadevi Park in Colombo. Newsfirst reporter Stephanie Lazarus got up and close with the founder of Lanka for a chat.
Well, December is considered a lucrative month for businesses. With the season already here and the holiday coming up, and also the New Year 2017 coming up, Colombo is definitely attracting many spectators to itself. Lanka, a fusion between theatre and Sri Lankan art, is promising a new theatrical experience for all the spectators and tourists and the ones who love Colombo. Well, there's a new thing to look forward to, and if I'm going to talk about Lanka, I cannot go ahead without talking about the founder of this theatrical venture, Jakob. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, as I mentioned before, he's a founder of Lanka. And do you like the city? Do you like Sri Lanka?
I really like Sri Lanka. I spent here 3 months at the beginning of this year with my family. We had lots of work last year in Europe and in Asia, and I was really tired. I need some rest, so I choose Sri Lanka like the place where I will rest, and I will think about the future and about new ideas. And we spent here a really nice time. We fall in love to this country, absolutely. And in this dreaming and thinking about what's to do in future, I recognize that I wanna come back to Sri Lanka and I wanna try to work here. I really fall in love to your culture. I really like your traditional dance, costumes, fireworks, and I just was thinking that maybe it's something lost mainly in Colombo at night, that you have nothing to do here. There's not so many possibilities where to go. So that was the basic idea about.
So that's one of those ideas you got while strolling down the street of Colombo, or even seeing the people around you. You just thought about having Lanka.
Yeah.
So for how long were you planning this out?
It was really quick. I just come back to Europe with the base of the idea. I start to speak with my colleague there, with people who I believe who is doing this entertainment business a little bit. And everybody told me, you are crazy, but you are enough crazy to do it, and we will help you. Then I start to find some partners here who will help us on Sri Lankan side. Then we are choosing the Sri Lankan group of the actors. Then we need to choose the European actors. So I should say that we work on it really 6 months right now, very hard, and and we are here, and it happens, and it happening every evening. So that's the dream for me.
How much have you spent on this operation? Because it looks like a huge operation itself. The magnitude of it is just enormous. How much of a profit is Lanka making?
We will see how it will be with the profit. We spent something around $300,000 right now to this project. We hope that the project will be developed for next year. I don't want to do it just per 1 year, but we will see. Everything is dependent about audience, about our success. So we will see that it has a sense. We want to continue for a couple of next year. We will see that it has no sense. We will not do it.
Well, like you mentioned, he's making money, but it's giving a lot of opportunities for Sri Lankan dancers as well, for them to excel. Culture-wise, they're getting to know about new, diverse cultures from around the world, because you all are a European team. But how much do you think Sri Lanka can offer when it comes to culture and dance, and in order to make Sri Lanka grow as a tourism hotspot?
I think that Sri Lanka, it's named like Iceland, like paradise, you know, because you have nice beaches, you have nice animals, nice parks, nice mountains. It's all you have. You have nice temples. That's good. But I think what you don't have is this entertainment, this possibility to spend. You have lots of things to do here during the day, but you have not so much to do in Sri Lanka at the evening and at the night. And I think that the culture is something what should really help to people know each other better than without it. It's culture is something what give people together, and I believe, and it's nice to see at some evenings here that half of our audience are tourists, half it's a local people, and if you see how they see the story, so it's nice, they understand. So I think that this project or projects like this soft project can really help to decide for the tourists maybe to come to Colombo and spend in this crazy busy young city maybe 1 night, 2 nights, and see this city, spend here some money and spend here some time.
Well, since you spoke about tourism, how has the tourism ministry helped the venture?
They help us. They help us with press conference. They support us. We are an official website of Sri Lankan tourism. I hope that they will help us in the future too, so that this support didn't stop. Yeah.
So, Jakub, just tell us, how different is this project for you? Because you've worked in theatre for years, and you just told me that you were born into a family of circus and theatre. How different is it for you to come out of your comfort zone to a place like Sri Lanka and host a theatrical experience such as this?
That's a good question. I was working in 4 continents. It was difficult to work in North America. It was absolutely difficult to work in China. It was always, there are the new experience. This experience is absolutely new for me. I can say about the artistic part and theatrical part of our being here that it was really nice, very comfortable for us. We really met a professional team here, and it was nice cooperation. What was a little bit difficult to understand for us was this production side of this developing side of the project. We were surprised how many permissions we need to have and so on. This is something absolutely new for us. So this was difficult, but finally we have, I hope we have all permissions and we can do what
So
we
there was a
wanna
lot
do.
of paperwork
Yes,
when you
yes,
came
yes,
in.
yes.
So there was a lot of red tape, lot of
Yeah.
paperwork, lot of regulations.
Yes.
Do you think Sri Lanka can actually improve so that businesses can establish here?
You know, I think that if we will speak about touristic business here, I think that if I wanna build a new hotel, that it's a simple way and everybody understand it's the idea, and I think that it's not so complicated. But to do big show, like worldwide show, it's something absolutely new for all the people in offices, in lots of ministers, and it's something absolutely new, and they have no boxes where to put this project. So I am sure that they were trying very hard to help us. I understand that it was difficult for them too to find the box for us, or maybe they knew they built some new for us. So definitely for the future, I think that if somebody will come with the idea like ours, it will be much more easy for him or for them to do it. But I think that we will stay here and we will continue.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Mr.
Thank
Varda.
you.
It was a pleasure having you on our show.
Well, that is all the news we've got for you tonight and 2016. Well, do look us up on Facebook by typing BizFirst Review 360. Well, wishing you a prosperous and fun-filled 2017. I am Shahin Jurampati. Good night.